Then we'll move into the bulk of our meeting, and that is the first thing is our Resolution 2122, National Inclusive Schools Week. I'd like to call on Dr. Blanco to present this, and I know you have some people with you, and I'm sorry it's taken so long to get to that part.
Well, good evening, and this evening, Mrs. Siebels from the CAC and several other guests are going to help us present and celebrate the proclamation that we're requesting for you to adopt. This year, the theme is Awareness to Action, celebrating 10 years of inclusive schools. And we're focusing on ways to move forward towards our journey for having inclusion at all of our schools. And so if the other guests could come forward and help us present the proclamation this evening. We do have parents and staff members that are going to share some very positive information with you.
If I can get there. I've been playing back here. Wow. Good evening, board. I have little people here. First of all, I need to introduce myself to Mrs. Moore. Is she here? I'm Blanca Beth, and I'm the co-chair of the Community Advisory Committee. Okay, and we serve special needs families in the district, and so I would love to get a chance to connect with you. And these are some of our families. And so we just want to go ahead and start with that, because building bridges and building community is part of what we're about. And so we're going to go ahead and start with the resolution, and I'm going to read part of it. I've never done this part before, so you'll excuse me. So I'm going to read the resolution, and then you're going to vote. Is that the step that we're taking? Okay. So Board of Education, Pasadena Unified School District, Pasadena, California. Resolution number 2055. Pasadena Inclusive Schools Week, December 6th through 10th, 2010. Whereas the Inclusive Schools Network at Education Development Center Incorporated has designated the week of December 6th through 10th, 2010 as National Inclusive Schools Week. This year's theme is Awareness in Action, 10 years of celebrating inclusive schools.
I'm reading the next three. Do I have to introduce myself? Hi, I'm Joy Costello. Whereas the Pasadena Unified School District is committed to providing district children an education in schools and classrooms that are welcoming and capable of educating all district's children. Whereas the educators of the Pasadena Unified School District recognize that each child is unique, learns differently, and therefore learns better if teaching is tailored to his or her ability and interests. And whereas the educators and families of the Pasadena Unified School District have been working tirelessly to ensure that our classrooms and schools are characterized as being high-performing and inclusive. And
whereas by their efforts to make our schools and classrooms high-performing inclusive, the educators and families of the Pasadena Unified School District have contributed significantly to building a stronger and more inclusive community. And whereas the educators and families of Pasadena Unified School District deserve to celebrate their successes and wish to reflect on how they might further even improve. Now, therefore, to be resolved that the Board of Education of the Pasadena Unified School District does hereby recognize that the week of December 6th to the 10th, 2010 as National Inclusive Schools Week. We encouraging schools and classrooms across the district to sponsor appropriate learning and community building activities in its recognition. Adopted this 23rd day of November 2010 by the Pasadena Unified School District Board of Education in Los Angeles County, California.
Move approval.
Thank you. We have the motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that was an enthusiastic aye.
Can we
Thank
make
you.
sure
We
that
have
we
a
get?
couple other guests that
I
want
want
to
to make
share.
sure we get a good shot of the kids on camera, though, because they are. Move them up so they can get a good shot of them on camera, because that's what they're very interested in.
Yeah, they're
that.
watching themselves.
Yeah. So pull them up. Let's get a good shot of them up there.
I think
Come
this
on. There you go.
Yeah.
we wanted. I think this is a really good segue because I had purposely invited a couple of people to come and share about this, and I think that it's very significant for me personally that this time, talking about adopting this resolution of Inclusion Week, right before Thanksgiving. It's a season of Thanksgiving and celebrating 10 years of trying to learn how to do inclusion and what that means and really defining what that means. And so I want to thank the board, I want to thank the district, I want to thank the staff, I want to thank Dr. Blanco and her team. I want to thank the parents before me who came and who spoke up, sometimes in very similar ways than what we've heard tonight earlier about the passion to do things in a certain way. And so I appreciate that. And so with that, I just want to say thank you. In our view, and I'm speaking for the CAC, this 1 week of inclusion is just really a token for what schools should be doing all year long, every day at all schools, with all children, regardless of their label, quote, or their level of ability. How does this change happen? The CAC believes in building bridges of collaboration and advocacy to build community. And the word community implies unity. And unity doesn't come without a little bit of hashing out and figuring things out, defining and having bold, difficult conversations. And that's what we've had the last couple of years with the CAC and the special ed community. We've had tough conversations. I haven't always agreed, our parents haven't always agreed, the district hasn't always agreed. But I believe that we're getting to the point where we're building a foundation that has common ground to it. And so with that, I wanted to share about, I wanted to invite, where's Mrs. Leffler? My bold Mrs. Leffler, to come and share a little bit about how it's happening at the school site level. So with that, thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Thanks for giving me a few minutes to talk about inclusion at Webster School. As a parent, an instructional aide, a classroom teacher, and a curriculum resource teacher in the Pasadena Unified School District, I learned a lot about special education from various perspectives. I was a special education parent myself. Fast forward to my principalship at Webster, which began actually over 15 years ago. When first approached about opening the first special day class there, I agreed, but with great hesitation, because I was completely uninformed about autism at that time. It was just a word, it was kind of scary, had no idea what that meant. I only hoped that I'd made the right decision for the Webster school community in agreeing to have a class at our school. Well, we've never looked back. Eventually, we had 3 special day classes for children diagnosed with autism, and much mainstreaming and reverse mainstreaming with the general education students as well. Staff participated in specialized training that we soon realized was about differentiation of instruction or meeting the needs of every child in our classrooms, whether they had special needs or they didn't have special identified needs. Special ed teachers and parents offered to go into classrooms and help students understand how we're all the same and how we're all unique. The culture of Webster schools subtly changed into a caring, nurturing, safe environment for all children. Parents of special needs students like Blanca Siebels and Marion Chen, who are here tonight, our pioneers, became active in our PTA and our school site council. Without these parents, our success would have not been possible. The pervasive attitude in our overall Webster parent leadership soon became that we want the best for every child. We just didn't have an interest in our own child only. Teachers began to embrace the opportunity to guide and assist children with individualized education plans. And best of all, our student body, as you saw evidence of tonight, became loving, caring, and supportive of one another, of children with and without special needs. 2 years ago, Leslie Perry, a Webster pre-K special day class teacher, suggested that we consider full inclusion. We began a journey of research, conversations, and field trips. All Webster teachers were invited to visit the Chimes School in Los Angeles to see what inclusion was about there. We created a plan that we thought would work for Webster and dedicated ourselves to making it a success. We also partnered with Azusa Pacific University for teacher training and support for our school. In the 2009-2010 school year, half of Webster's classrooms had included students, and this year we're at 100%. Students who would have been placed in special day classes are now in every classroom at Webster School with quality support by instructional assistants as needed. We have one class that doesn't have inclusion, and that's just how the demographics worked out. It wasn't because the teacher who happens to be sitting here was against it. He's had inclusion before, and he's very supportive of inclusion. I want to share something with you that a general education parent wrote this week. Inclusion is sculpting our children's lives daily. It has added an insurmountable depth of character to the learning environment of both the included students and their general ed peers. At Webster School, our children are naturally and organically learning compassion and acceptance of others. Our diverse community of people, students, parents, teachers, and administrators have woven ourselves together to become this amazing and beautiful tapestry we affectionately and proudly call Daniel Webster School. It's a place where children learn to share and experience education without pause or prejudice, and where empathy is lived and practiced. It is truly an eye-opening experience where we see life simply as it should be. And when I chose this quote, I didn't realize that Felita Keeling would be here tonight, but Felita, thank you. In conclusion, I'd like to quote a great educator, Julie Fabriosini, formerly of the Chimes School in LAUSD. This is what she says, and this is what I believe. Inclusion is neither benevolence nor compromise. It's just the way it should be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a brief note. My son started at Webster when he was 3 years old, and he is a 5th grader currently there. And so we're getting ready to transition him into middle school, which kind of makes me segue to our next guest speaker, and somebody I chose because part of those bold conversations that we need to be having has to do with internal systems kind of thing. So our goal is to have a seamless, beautiful, working relationship at the school sites with teachers having what they need, with students receiving the supports that they deserve, and but it doesn't happen on its own, and we need internal systems and protocols to be in place. And so I wanted to ask Meg to come and share a little bit about what we're trying to do, one of the endeavors that we're doing together and collaborating with. So go for it.
Oh,